All right, guys, so for our guided practice number 2 today, we've got something that looks a little bit different. So we still have our function table. So we're still going to have, we're going to plug numbers in for our variable. In this case, it'll be an x. Then we are going to use the function to get an output, which will be y. But then we're going to use that x and y to plot the points on this graph to the right of the function table. So let's just get started. Jasper hikes 4 miles per hour. The function rule that represents this situation is 4x, because if he goes 4 times per hour, we would do 4 times the number of hours, which would be x, and that would tell us how far he has hiked in a given number of hours. Make a table to find out how many hours he has hiked when he has gone 8, 12, and 20 miles. Then graph the function. All right, so first thing we need to do is we need to fill in our function table. So just like we did before, we're going to fill in the number for x, and we need the number of hours, need the number of hours, yes. Ooh, we want to, we're working backwards here. So in this case, the number of hours, we don't know. We don't know what x is. We know 4x, and we know the number of miles, though. So this, we're actually going to be using one of our operations that we used last week. So in this case, we're going to fill in the number of miles first. So we'll have 8 miles here, have 12 miles here, and 20 miles below. Now we're kind of working backwards here because 4 times x, in this case, is going to equal 8. Over here, we're going to have 4 times x, whatever, we still don't know what x is in this case, equals 12. And for our last one, we have 4 times x equals 20. So there we go. Now, if you look at this, you see we've got a problem just like we had last week, and we're going to have to use an inverse operation in order to get to our answers here. So for each of these, we're going to have to divide the 4x by 4, and then divide the y value, or the number of miles, by 4, and that will give us our number of hours. So in this case, if we divided the 4x, we have 4x divided by, or 4x equals 8. I'll just do this first problem here together. If we divide them both by 4, then x would equal, because 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 1 times any number, we know because of our identity property of multiplication that 1 times any number is itself. So x would be 8 divided by 4, 2. X equals 2 in this case. In this case, we'd have the same thing. So go ahead and erase this guy here. It's going to work just the same way. So we will take our number of hours, or we'll take our number of miles, which is 12, and because we need, again, to divide this guy by 4 to get x by itself, we'll divide 12 by 4, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. In this case, same deal. We'll need to divide our 4x by 4 to get x by itself. So that means we need to divide 20 by 4 on this side, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. X will equal 5. So there you go. There is our table. Now we need to take these values and plot them on our coordinate plane. So your x value is your value left or right, and your y value is your value up and down on the y-axis. And so for the first one, we have 2 as our x value, and our y value is 8. So I'm going to go in between the 5 and the 10 and go just a little bit closer to the 10. All right, so there would be our first plotted point, and this would be for when x equals 2. Down here, if x for 3 hours, our x would equal 3, and then our y would equal 12. So we're going to go in between the 10 and the 15, a little bit closer to the 10, because 12 and a half would be directly in between those two. All right, and roughly there would be our point that we would plot. And last but not least, for 5 hours, we know we have 20 miles. So our y value would be 20 here. There we go. And if we were to graph this function, we have it right here. Of course, at 0 miles, or 0 hours, he's gone 0 miles. So we would start there. If I were using this on a piece of paper, I would get a ruler out. My line probably won't be super straight, but we'll get it the best we can here. Something about like that would give us our function. So actually, I know that for 4 hours, our answer would be roughly around, just a little bit, probably above 15 hours. And we could figure that out. If we did 4, let's see, 4 times 4, or 4 times x, which is 4, would give us 16, and that is just above that 15, so that would work out. That falls on our graph of this function. So there we go. There is the graphed out version of the function table. Hopefully that was not too difficult for you. Tomorrow we're going to really get into graphing these functions, but you did a great job today. Hopefully that wasn't too difficult. If it was, please contact your teacher and they will let you know what they can do for you. We can always work through some of these problems together again and work until you feel more comfortable with these functions. But again, just remember, these are just like in and out boxes from everyday math. Same skill you're going to use, just plug in for your value, for your x, and you'll get your y. In this case, just remember, if you need to work backwards, it's exactly the same thing that we did last week. You can always solve for that x value. All right, guys and gals, if you have any questions, please let your teacher know. Other than that, you need to hop on into that independent practice. Good luck today.